Marketing as we know it is changing, and it's never going back. So in this video, I'm going to show you what's going to change in marketing in 2022. Not only so you can be prepared for it, but also how you can position yourself to take advantage of all of the amazing opportunities that are coming your way. So let me show you how it's done, starting with one of the biggest and most significant events in all of marketing, and the negative impacts that it's had on business. But of course, there are also some workarounds and some strategies that may prove to be even more effective than the technology that they're going to be replacing. I am, of course, talking about the death of the pixel and some bad cookies. Ew. Before I dive into the specifics, first a very high-level overview of what this whole cookie thing is about anyway. Here's the deal. Websites and apps like Facebook and Instagram and Google, well, they use something called a pixel, which is a tiny piece of code that allows them to place another tiny piece of code on a user's browser or computer that allows them to track and store various pieces of data and information about them. Now, when cookies first came on the scene, they were originally designed just to help make the browsing experience that much easier and that much faster by helping people store basic information and save passwords. But since then, they've evolved or devolved, and they've become sort of this, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Scapegoat, yeah. Kind of the thing to blame for all of these massive companies and corporations gathering and storing all of our data and then selling it to other people. Now, for marketers and advertisers like myself, these tiny little pieces of code, these pixels and their associated cookies, are kind of like a dream come true. After all, they've been responsible for allowing us to have laser-like precision with our advertising and marketing targeting, allowing us to target the exact kind of person that we want, right down to their age and gender and income and occupation, pretty much anything else you can think of. I mean, do you want to reach single moms who live in San Diego who run their own businesses? Done. How about targeting men in their 20s who are into keto and CrossFit? You got it. Or do you want to reach people who love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or Star Wars, or jujitsu, or have a strange obsession with Air Jordans? Well, your wish is my command. And that, my friend, is the power of the pixel. But the problem with all of this, of course, is the people on the other end and how they don't want to necessarily have their every single click and scroll and add to cart be tracked and measured and then used against them. And it makes sense, right? So that's where we're at today. The main example of this is Apple coming out with their iOS 14 update, which really limited the amount of tracking and cookies and pixels and all of that technical stuff going on behind the scenes that advertisers were able to use. The result, and the biggest case of this, was Facebook ads that started really underreporting conversions and essentially creating campaigns that just weren't delivering the results that people were expecting. So, any kind of marketing or advertising campaign that relies on the use of third-party pixels, third-party data, and this kind of tracking is going to suffer and is continuing to suffer and is just going to get worse as we move into the future. Now, Google, they've been a little bit slower to the party, but they have recently updated their timeline on their Privacy Sandbox initiative. Now, this Privacy Sandbox is essentially just Google's way to limit third-party data and third-party cookies and tracking through their Google Chrome browser. So, business owners, entrepreneurs, and marketers alike, well, need to plan for it, need to start incorporating and baking this into their marketing strategies, like today, right now. And this means starting to plan for and look for alternatives to those traditional cookies that we've become just so addicted to. I mean, they are pretty tasty. Of course, there are workarounds, two of which are particularly effective right now that I'm going to recommend you move into. The first of which is using what I'd like to call old school ads, and which were once an absolutely horrifically terrible strategy. Yep. I'm talking about old school Facebook lead gen ads and also messenger ads, which they had their time in the sun for a brief period, but overall, we simply could never get them to work as well as we could with those traditional conversion ads, where we were essentially leading someone off of Facebook, getting their email address, pixeling and tracking them, and then of course following up with them later. Well, those days are gone. Or have they returned? Point of the matter is that we are now returning to in-network advertising. We're starting to use more advertising tools and more marketing tools that are baked right into the platforms themselves. In the case of Facebook, well, their lead gen ads, which allow someone to enter their information and never leave Facebook, are starting to deliver some pretty decent results. And the same goes with messenger ads, which again allows someone to complete an ad, fill out some information without ever leaving the platform. The second thing that's working incredibly well, just as it has for the past 10 years or so, is none other than email marketing. You see, email marketing is a nearly unbeatable strategy, and I say unbeatable because it's hard for me to think of a single case in the past 10 years or so where I've incorporated or implemented some kind of email marketing strategy with one of my clients and it has not delivered a return on investment. Again, to my memory, I can't think of a single case where we've not done email marketing, either by adding it to a business that is not already using email marketing, or taking their existing email marketing and enhancing it, upgrading it, optimizing it, making it better. Well, I can't think of a single time where this has not resulted in an increase in revenue. The reality is that email marketing, it just works. It works really, really well. And I mean, of course, there are some tracking issues inherent with email marketing as well. iOS 15. That was an awkward cough. But I'm actually less concerned with my overall open rates and my overall click-through rates with email marketing because simply the fact that I'm going to own that asset, then have control over access to the audience, or in this case, my clients having access to their audience, well, that alone is enough for me to justify really spending the time and the money and the energy to build up that email marketing database. All right, it's enough about cookies and pixels and stuff like that. Let's move on to the next thing that is definitely changing with marketing in 2022, and that's a shift away from short form content to more long form content. You see, 2021 was all about short form content. Well, at least that's what it looked like. But those of us on the inside, those of us that knew what was really going on, we knew long form content would come back and do so with a vengeance. This is because if you have a business whose goal is to build up expertise and authority and trust and establish a relationship, well, you're simply not able to do it in the same capacity in a quick 15-second clip as you are in, say, a 3-minute video or a 5-minute video or a 15-minute video or longer. Well, we knew this, and it looks like the social media networks are starting to realize this as well, as they're starting to even take their short form content and sort of all of the structures and limitations around that and expand them. For example, TikTok has expanded to 3 minutes in length. Instagram Reels, they expanded up to 60 seconds in length. And these tiny, almost insignificant little changes, well, they show momentum. They show the pendulum swinging back in the direction of longer form content. And again, it just makes sense. Not only is long-form content better for the social media networks themselves because people are more likely to spend more time on the platforms, which allows them to increase their share of time and attention and therefore increase their revenues, but it's also better for the marketers and for the content creators and for the businesses who are spending the time and energy and money to create this content. Because again, you're simply able to create and to produce and to deliver more value with more time. All right, the next change is all about AI, as in artificial intelligence. Here's the deal. As we move into 2022, AI just keeps getting better. Right now, there are services out there like my buddy Dave Rogenmoser's company Jarvis that uses artificial intelligence to write content for your social media posts, your blog, your website, pretty much anything you can think of. And when it comes to advertising and to creating and scaling and even split testing ads, well, not only are there a number of different pieces of software out there that all use artificial intelligence to do this, but the actual advertising platforms themselves and the algorithms behind them are only getting more and more advanced as well. Back in the day, man, that makes me sound old. In the past, we essentially had to make sure that all of our advertising campaigns were completely dialed in. We had to do extensive market research, really make sure that we had the exact targeting that we wanted, because otherwise the advertising platform was just going to go and waste all our money. Now though, depending on what ad platform you use, it's kind of set it and forget it. And in fact, by over controlling and by being too strict with your targeting parameters, you can actually limit your results and end up spending a whole lot more than you need to. Long story short, artificial intelligence, AI, it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. All right, my next point is less of a change and less of a trend with where marketing is going and more of an opportunity for you to really capitalize on kind of the mistakes that other marketers and other business owners and other entrepreneurs in your industry are making right now. Here's the deal. As fun as it is to look ahead and rub that crystal ball, try to predict the future and guess what trends and what technologies are going to be present, well, what really matters when it comes to creating consistent and profitable marketing campaigns is the basics. That's right, those proven fundamentals, those marketing principles that have stood the test of time and that are just as relevant this year as they were 5, 10, 20, maybe even 100 years ago. As Marcus Sheridan wrote in this article for Social Media Examiner says, most businesses and marketers aren't paying attention to the basics. In 2022, most companies still won't embrace video, even though they know they should. Most companies, especially B2B, won't discuss cost and pricing considerations of their products or services on their website, even though they should. Most sales and marketing departments still still won't be aligned, even though they should be. Long story short on this one, the basics are kind of boring, kind of unsexy, but they can also be extremely profitable. And on that note of basics, but incredibly important and almost obvious facts, well, video marketing is going to continue to be a very important trend for 2022. Now, I'll admit, it feels incredibly weird to be sitting here right now talking to you about the importance of video marketing in 2022. I mean, seriously, I've been saying this for years now. It feels odd, almost a little bit lazy of me to come out and say, hey, just make more videos. But if you haven't yet, now's the time. I mean, we're at the point now where video marketing shouldn't have to prove itself anymore. The results are in. Studies have shown, year after year after year, video marketing and the return on investment that it provides just keeps growing. It just keeps getting better. The facts are that customers, your customers, want more video, and they're using video to make purchasing and buying decisions. Plus, the social media networks and the platforms and the algorithms that they're based on, they want more video too. And some platforms, previously non-video platforms like Instagram, well, they've pretty much switched their focus to be all about video moving forward. Case in point of this is Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, who has said this a number of times now, how Instagram is no longer just a photo sharing site, but is now really focusing and doubling down on video content. The point is, video. Still important, ain't going away anytime soon either. Next up, let me share with you a trend that you may not have heard talked a whole lot about, but is one that's really showing some promising signs, and that's all about socially responsible marketing. Here's a funny statistic for you. Although 31% of marketers say social responsibility is ineffective when it comes to campaign engagement or performance, 45% still plan to invest in it throughout the next year. So if 31% of people say it's not that effective, why are 45% still doing it? Well, it's because with the current state of things in the world, as we know it, social responsibility and ethics and transparency, well, they matter more to the modern consumer than ever before. And in one of the most obvious and unsurprising conclusions ever from a research study, companies like McKinsey are showing reports that customers prefer doing business with brands and with businesses that actually care about people and their employees and the environment. Shocking, I know. As an example, this video is not sponsored, but this t-shirt that I just happen to be wearing, shockingly and completely coincidentally, is by a brand that I love and support called 10 Tree. I love the brand not only because of the styles that they have and the fact that they're really comfy clothes to wear, but also because anytime I buy anything, they plant 10 trees. It's a cool message, and I like trees. So if you're able to incorporate an element of social responsibility into your brand and into your business and into your marketing, then by all means, go for it. It's good for you, it's good for your customers, and it's good for the environment too. Of course, the best way to make sure that you're prepared for 2022 is by focusing on those proven marketing fundamentals. And that's why the next thing you're going to want to do is check out the video I've got linked up right here on understanding digital marketing. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, the next thing that'll really help you become a better digital marketer is to understand the differences between strategy and tactics and when to use them. Strategy is all the big picture stuff, and this is really where you